and everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me. The mind of God within me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me, through the mind of God within me, through the mind of God within me.
Thank you to the musicians for the music to get us started this morning. Yeah, you want to clap more, don't you? Yes, yes. Very good. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa. I'm Nancy Reynolds, the president of the Center's Board of Trustees. Happily with you again today, my favorite place to be on a Sunday morning. I love being with all of you. I'd like to extend a special welcome to those of you who are visiting for the first or even the first few times. Welcome, whether that's in the sanctuary or online. I remember my first time at the center, and I remember wondering what else goes on here in addition to Sunday services, which I loved immediately. And so I wanted to mention that there is an information table in the social hall where you can get information. And also we have a beautiful website that tells you everything that's going on at the center. The website is cslsr.org. Speaking of going online, hello to our live stream audience. Welcome to you as well. I want you to know we always know you're here, and we love that you are. Thank you. There are many who have been watching online, watching the live stream, and watching the recording afterwards. These days, maybe some people feel more comfortable being online at home, comfortable on the couch with a coffee. Yeah. That's great. We love you, and we're glad you're with us. And we also have a number of people who have started watching because we went online during the pandemic. So hello and welcome to all of you. Here inside the center, we are navigating the latest increase in COVID cases, and so I'm so grateful for your patience and cooperation here in the sanctuary as we continue to make our 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. services as safe as possible. That does remind me to mention that last week we handed out a flyer to everyone who was in the sanctuary. It had the details of the updated safety protocols that will allow us to continue meeting in person. If you weren't here last week, you can stop by the information table to pick up one of those flyers. Through your participation in our in-person services and our many online events and offerings, We are a vital and vibrant community. We are an organization that is entirely supported by our community, and we truly appreciate your financial support and generosity. There are several ways that you can contribute financially to the center. You can give online on our website and Facebook. You can send a check to the center's physical address here. You can also use text to give, which is our new way of doing, the newest way, and there's the number. Thank you, gentlemen in the booth. It's super easy. You text the word give, and it'll walk you through everything. And then the last way, at the door after services, there will be volunteers with baskets for those who like to contribute while you're in the center. We are able to serve you because of your gifts, and we are so grateful. So thank you. At the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa, we are motivated by a vision of a healthy, loving world. It's known as the global vision, and it calls us to imagine a world that works for everyone and to envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. I'd like to share with you the first paragraph from the global vision. Excuse me. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with the divine and connection to one another. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We've identified 4 shared values at the center which support us in fulfilling on this vision. Here they are. First one is spiritual living. We live principle-centered, spirit-led lives as we learn and practice our teaching, the science of mind. We turn to our principles for guidance in all moments, in all areas of our lives. The next is integrity. We strive to let our inner convictions match our outer actions, and we embrace the quality of being honest. We express wholeness, honesty, and fairness in all our relationships and activities. Love. We embrace love as the self-givingness of life to all creation. Life moves through us and expresses love as compassion, caring, mutual respect, kindness, and selfless service. And finally, compassion. We express interest in and support for the well-being of ourselves and others. We express unconditional love when observing the suffering of others and do what we can to give aid and show compassion. It's a beautiful vision. Again, welcome to today's service. Between the music, the meditation, the prayer, the practices, and the message from Reverend Russ, may you receive exactly what you need for the next step of your spiritual journey.
Hello. I'm Tara Steele, the Education Minister here at the Center. This morning, I'm going to invite you to join with me in a moment of stillness in recognition of the passing of one of our great spiritual teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh. We're going to move into that stillness with his words. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is the only moment. Let us be still. In this stillness, there is one life, one power, one presence, infinite, timeless, formless, and intimate. Right here, expressing in, through, and as me, in, through, and as every single being in this room, in this community, on this planet and beyond. Knowing that I am an expression of this infinite one, I know this is also true for all that is. It is true for those who bring together this service this morning, as volunteers, as speakers, as musicians, as the community that sits in these seats and watches online. We are one. One in a unique diversity of beautiful being. In gratitude for this truth, for the amazing ways that life unfolds, I release this word into law, knowing it so, and so it is. I share with you this morning's affirmation. I ask questions and allow the answers to come. And so it is.
If I could look down on this path I walk from somewhere way up high, I could see the crooked road that I have come. I walked a mile in sorrow, I walked a mile in joy, and now I'm less afraid of either one. For every tear I've cried, there's a smile I have earned. For every mile I walk, there's a lesson I learn. I'm not lost, I am exploring. Life is an adventure worth exploring. Though I may not know where I'm going, I am not lost, I am exploring. I am not lost, I am exploring. Some people choose to live their lives on quiet avenues, while others find a place in the parade. Some, like me, are seekers and take less traveled roads, believing we can find a better way. And though I get discouraged, I won't be turning back. I have joy as my compass and faith as my map. And I'm not lost, I am exploring. Life is an adventure worth enjoying. Though I may not know where I'm going, I am not lost, I am exploring. I am not lost, I am exploring. Now all of us are headed for the same destination, so why not blaze a trail that's got imagination? 'Cause I'm not lost, I am exploring. Life is an adventure worth enjoying. Though I may not know where I'm going, I am not lost, I am exploring. I am not lost, I am exploring. I am not lost, I am exploring.
Oh, can we give some more love to Mr. Christopher Fritchie and the gentlemen of our amazing band? You know what I appreciate the most about Chris? Every time that I come up here to talk, he always asks me, Russ, what's your talk about? And I tell him, And I don't have to go looking for a featured song. I don't have to look for the music. I can just say, hey, Chris, play something upbeat. And here we get, I'm not lost, but I'm exploring. And that's such a perfect, perfect talk for what we're talking about today, questioning everything. So let me start by saying I missed you all. I missed you all so much. I was in Palm Desert this last week for the Centers for Spiritual Living convention. And some of you who are practitioners or ministers, you may have caught that online, or lay members. And what's really amazing about this convention this year is that it was the first one that we were able to have in person since the pandemic began. And I think that that's worthy of a round of applause, because I can tell you the energy in that room, it was palpable. It was palpable. And the inspiration and the way that all of these amazing ministers and practitioners and lay members, we are all coming together, imagining a deeper expression of who and what we are as a movement. There were a lot of questions that were being asked. And the answers weren't always easy. And I remember having a conversation with one of the ministers who paneled me when I was becoming a minister myself, Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards, and she's a minister at the Oakland Center, if I'm not mistaken. And she's an amazing, amazing woman. And I remember we were talking about when she was paneling me, and she was grilling me pretty good. That's what's supposed to happen in panels, is you get grilled. You get asked by experienced ministers, how are you going to show up as a minister? Especially, how are you going to show up when things get weird? Yeah, I mean, ministry is about dealing with the weird. That's what I found. And finding ways to make it fun being in the weird. And so, we're talking, and I was chatting with her, and I remembered, I was in that panel, and I kept on saying to the panel, yeah, here's the answer to this question about, something that would go on in like pulpit ministry. This is what they call pulpit ministry, where I'm here, speaking with you. And my answer, after that would be, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to do pulpit ministry. Yeah, and it was an interesting thing to go back and look at, because I was reminded of what led me here, of what led me to choose to be a minister in this way. Because back then, I thought I was just going to do IT work. I was in my comfort. I was in my status quo. And, I had no idea, of course, this was way back when the pandemic first started. I had no idea that the pandemic was going to last as long as it did. But I know in that panel that there was a little spark, there was a little something there that put me into the question. And I'm going to continue that story as we go on, but I wanted to dive into what was making me feel stuck. And I'm a big philosophy nerd. And I'm going to ask your permission right now if I can get a little bit nerdy. Yeah? Okay. So I'm a big fan of a philosopher named Ken Wilbur, and he's a modern philosopher, and in many ways, he's a lot like our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in the sense that he is a synthesizer of many different sources of philosophy and religion and science. Indeed, he has spent his life's work trying to come up with a literal theory of everything. And two of the fundamental forces that he found, similar across so many philosophies, so many religions, so much of science, are the forces of what he calls agape and eros. Now, you might know these more familiarly, I guess, as like yin and yang, right? The giving and the receiving nature of the universe. The way that things stay static, and then the force that causes them to move through change. So agape is that force of love that wants to keep things to be the same as they are now. And when it's healthy, it's great, right? If we're having a good time, we want to keep having that good time. And then eros is the force that pushes us forward, that pushes us to evolve. And he uses this amazing term that I'm going to use a lot. I love it. He says that this is the force that brings forth self-organization in our universe. How cool is that? The inner drive of the fundamental specs of reality that cause us to become more of what we are. And both of those came from the Greek word of love. There are two sides to that word love. There are two sides to wholeness, and they cannot exist healthily apart from one another. And a really great example of how this works is the Big Bang. So if we look at science, scientists, through all of their deductive reasoning and research, have figured out that our universe exists because of this one event that traces back about 14 billion years, where poof, existence. And here we are. Here we are. But when it first happened, it was just like this giant big soup of particles. It was a big soup of stuff. There weren't stars, there weren't planets, there certainly weren't people. But what started to happen? Well, those little particles, they started to get together and have a little party. And then they became bigger particles, and then they became atoms and molecules. And all of a sudden, we start to have nebula that are filled with gases, and we start to have planets and stars. And those stars explode, and then they become more stars, and they become more planets. And if we fast forward 14 billion years, we get life, we get human beings. And I like to joke, the next time that you're at a birthday party and maybe you don't want to be reminded of how old you are, just remember, you're actually around 14 billion years old. You're the exact same age as everybody else in the room. That force of eros is what causes all of this to self-organize together. And I love that phrase, self-organize, because it tells me that there is a power, there is an intelligence behind that. But like all things in life, there is a danger when we become either addicted to or maybe allergic to how one or the other shows up in our lives. And I was certainly addicted to agape in my old way of being. I was addicted to keeping the status quo, to staying the same, to not growing, because it was comfortable. Like I said, I didn't think that I would do pulpit ministry. I thought I was going to go off and do something really, really heady. But you know what was going on? The more that happened, the more that I sat with what was going on in the pandemic and asked myself questions, the more I found that there was that energy of eros that was trying to self-organize me into something new, into something better. In fact, it was trying to self-organize me to be here with you. I was pretty disillusioned. I'm going to be honest, I was pretty disillusioned, and I know I'm not alone. We hear all about this great resignation, right? If you watch the news, you hear about so many people are re-examining their lives, and I love that. I love that so many people are using this pandemic for something good, to re-examine, to take that alone time that we have at home and to look at how are we showing up in the world, and are we actually living the life that we want to live? I mean, it's almost like the pandemic showed up and then everybody realized that they were a new thought practitioner. So that pushed me. The more I asked myself that question, why do I continue to show up for this job that is not making my heart sing? The more I got answers and deeper answers, and the more I paved the way to move forward. So I want to talk about that magical question, that sacred question, why? And there's a huge power behind that question. Why, more than any other question that I know, gets to the root of perceived problems in our lives and in the world around us. In fact, it's so powerful that a lot of the engineers in the, I want to say the late 80s and the 90s, they worked on quality control to build better products that would last longer, that would have fewer issues. And one of the tools that they used to foster that is called the 5 whys. And it's exactly what it's called. You ask the question, why did this problem happen? And you get an answer. And then you ask another why. Well, why is that answer that answer? And you keep going and going and going. And after around question 5, typically they say that you'll get to what the actual root cause of the problem was. Now, it may take more, it may take less, especially when we're working on our consciousness. We know that we may never actually get to a root answer. We might just keep peeling at it. But the more we ask that question, the more we get to the core of what our being is trying to tell us. I love the question why, because it opens my heart. Because if I'm asking it from a place of authenticity, then I have to have an open heart, don't I? Because if I don't have an open heart, I might ask why. And of course, the universe is like, okay, Russ, here's your answer. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that answer. It's a little uncomfortable. But when we can open our heart, when we can truly allow it to work through us, that's when the magic happens. And history is a great example of that, right? We just celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and he asked that sacred why. Why do people of color have a harder time living in our society than white people? Why, even though the Constitution now says this, do we not experience equal rights with, white people? Why? Why is that going on? Gandhi asked a similar question in colonial in India. If I can get my words out today, it's not a Russ talk. If he's not stumbling over his words, let me get some water. He asked, this is India, this is our country. Why is it that these people who are not of our country, why are they running our country? And moreover, both Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi, they asked, why is it that it seems like for change to happen, we need to use violence? And they came up with an amazing, powerful answer, and the answer was we don't. We don't need to use violence. We can actually show up in a place of unconditional love, a place of knowing that there is nobody separate outside of us, that even though we may be colonized right now, even though we may not be sharing equal rights, we are not separate from one another. We are indeed one, even though we may have forgotten that. Powerful, powerful answers to that question of why. And I think that there are some really powerful why questions that we as the community here at Centers for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa, that we can ask ourselves, don't you? For example, why do we still see that there are people who are living without shelter when we are literally living in the country that has more wealth than any other country in the entire world? Why is that still happening? Why do we still see so much inequality occurring in our country? Why? And we can go deep, because you know what? We're probably not going to get a simple answer to these questions. We might have to keep asking that why when we get a new answer. And I feel like we have to ask these questions together, because the answer I receive is certainly not going to be like the same as the answer that you receive, because we're all different. We all have a different lens through which we see the world and interact with the world. So we have to keep asking, and we have to do it together. And now here's the hard part. And please don't freak out. It's going to be okay. I promise it's going to be okay. I'm saying this for myself as much as for you. We really have to learn, and I'm going to speak for myself on this one. I have to learn how to embrace the discomfort that comes when I get an answer that I don't like. because when I was going through my soul searching, figuring out what my ministry was going to look like, I got a lot of answers that I didn't like. I liked the comfort and the sameness that I had with my old job, and it was painful at times to look at giving that up. But the more that I embraced that discomfort, the more that I knew that everything was going to be okay, because we live in a safe universe. We live in a universe that wants only our good. The more I trusted in that, regardless of the answers that I received, the more that I saw that there was this amazing beauty on the other side of the process. That amazing beauty is our center here. And what I realized doing that is that the more I did it, the more it felt kind of like hiking to me. Now, I love hiking, and some of you know this, but one of the perks of moving here is that we have so much amazing hiking around here, don't we? We really do. So much natural beauty, so many places. Like if you want to go hike on the coast, you can go to the coast. If you want to drive, you can go to Yosemite. If you want to even just go out in your backyard, you can go find a trail almost anywhere. And I love hiking at Sugarloaf. I really do. I spend so much time there. And if you've hiked at Sugarloaf, you know that many of the hikes, they're hiking with an incline. Yeah, I hear the laughter, a little hesitation maybe. I love incline hiking. And I love it because what it has taught me spiritually is that, you know, those first few steps that you take when you start going up the incline, wow, those are rough, aren't they? Oh my word. I start going there and I'm like, oh my God, am I at the top yet? But what I found is that the more I do it, the more as I get going on that trail, the more I realize that, oh, this actually isn't as hard. It's almost like my body gets over its grumpiness and realizes that, oh, this is what we're doing now. Okay, all right, cool, let's do that. And that's what it's like when we're using the power of why, the sacred why in our lives. The more we do it, the more we start to get to a feeling of being connected, of being closer to the answers that we're all seeking in our lives. And what I find often when I'm using this process of why, I'll often look at something in the world. I'm a little bit of a news junkie. It is a problem. It's a big problem for me. But, you know, I'll ask why when I see something like injustice in the news. I'll go in there and I'll see that and I'll ask that question, why? And the more I do it, the more it actually starts to get directed back to me. And I start asking, well, why am I not showing up in a different way to be part of the solution and not part of the problem? And it's not always an easy answer, you know. Sometimes I get, you know, the answer is, well, because you spent all night watching Netflix last night. But it's powerful, it really is, if we're willing to embrace that discomfort, to let the answers speak to us. And it's incredibly powerful when we use our power of choice, our power of investigation, our power of letting go of that feeling of being lost and going and exploring, as Christopher so eloquently saying to us, that we can actually start looking at our own identity. We can actually start looking at who and what we are and why we are showing up in the world as we show up in the world. The inwardly directed sacred why is one of the most powerful spiritual practices that I know. Asking why did I spend all night watching Netflix? Why did I do that? When I know that there's something in my heart pulling me towards expressing oneness and expressing love and being of service. And I don't want to, you know, totally beat up the Netflix and binge nights. Sometimes we need those. I just don't need them quite as much as I think I do. When I do this practice, and certainly when I did when I was figuring out, you know, what I was going to do with my ministry, I asked myself, why do I believe what I believe? And that's an amazing question to ask, especially in New Thought, because we are not a movement that is rooted in dogma. We are a movement that Ernest Holmes said should always be open at the top. We should always be questioning our beliefs. We should always be digging deeper to have a better experience of reality and the laws of nature that make it up. So I often ask myself, does what I believe align with what I see in the world? Do I identify with any of these beliefs? You know, do I say that I am this because of something that I believe? And what that really means is that, do we build an idea of who we are? Do I do this? Do you do this based on a set of beliefs and values? And if so, what are those beliefs and values? It's a really great thing to examine, like, what do I actually value in life? What do I believe? And then as we go deeper with that why, with that investigation, we can ask, are my beliefs, the beliefs that make up the core of my identity, are they working for me? And the answer might be yes, and that's great. The answer also might be no, and there's more to look into there. There's more to explore. And that sacred why, I really had to investigate it. And I've especially been investigating it these past 6 months because it's funny, Reverend Jacqueline, when she was doing my panel, she called me a shake and bake. And what that means is that it's her term for somebody who finds New Thought and just jumps right into it. You know, when I found New Thought, I jumped right into it. I took classes, I went to all the services. I think I had like a whole 4 years where I didn't miss a single Sunday service. Oh my word. It was an amazing journey. But it was a shake and bake. It's like, you know, shake and bake, you just shake it up in there and you throw it in the oven. Poof, it's done. Magic. And I had to really move past that because I shake and baked my way out here. I found out about being your assistant minister, and I'm like, yes, that was a sacred yes for me. And then I got here, and I'm like, part of me is still living in Chicago. And I need to bring that part over here who is still living in Chicago because this is my home now. This is where I'm at. And I'm so grateful that this is my home. I am so grateful that you all here are my family. I'm so grateful for the friends that I've met. I'm so grateful for the amazing nature and hiking. I'm so grateful for the really wonderful food, which I eat a little bit too much of. I'm so grateful. And if I had not asked that question of myself, why am I not moving forward in my life? Why am I not embracing what is actually singing the song of my heart? Why led me to be here, to be with you? And I was driving home yesterday from that Centers for Spiritual Living convention, high on all of the connections that I made, all of the wonderful ministers, all of the excitement and the transformation that we were all fostering in our movement. And I was thinking to myself on the road, I'm driving home for the first time. I'm driving home. And it was such a wonderful feeling to feel. And of course, I called all my friends and talked with them because when you've got 10 hours of driving, you've not got much else to do, especially when you're going through, you know, Central California and it's all farmland. Whoo, boy. That why was so powerful for me. And I'm so grateful that it was teaching me. It was teaching me that inner good that was finding its way out through service, through being here, through thinking about all of the wonderful ways that we can come together in community. Even thinking about, wow, how amazing is it that we're able to come together on our live stream despite everything that's going on. And I just want to give so much love to our tech team that tirelessly creates this amazing live stream that we can all take advantage of. So I'm going to close by reminding us that divine curiosity, that sacred why, is actually what created our movement. It created Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes was an intensely curious person. And even though he wasn't formally schooled, his curiosity led him to read everything, be it a religious text or a philosophy or just a simple teaching from one of his peers. He was a sponge with his sacred why of allowing all of that to come in. And you know what? That one single person, because of his curiosity, we have the center here today. Because his curiosity sparked the curiosity in others. It sparked the curiosity in their heart of living a better life, of truly believing that there is a power for good that is greater than us, and we can use it. We can use it to affirm our oneness, our wholeness, our unconditional love. He asked us to be open at the top, and that's why I'm so grateful for this convention, because we were so open at the top. We were so open to the possibilities of looking and seeing, what aspects of our movement maybe aren't working, and how can we move forward with those? How can we bring forth change that is more life-affirming, that is more affirming of justice and oneness and wholeness? His sacred why was rooted in that energy of eros, of self-organizing, of reorganizing. And that's what we saw at the convention. This self-organizing, this moving out of the agape was great, and now we're moving on to something new and even better than what it was before. And that's what I noticed most of all, is that our movement, it's finding its way into that energy of eros. And that if we keep on questioning, if we keep on asking that sacred why of ourselves, of our movement, of our community, of each other, we can really allow that energy to transform and evolve us in ways that deeper express our reality, our unconditional love, and all of the beauty in the world. So I've said all I'm going to say. I think it's time to go into prayer, yes? Yeah. All right, so if it feels good, maybe place your hand on your heart. Take a nice deep collective breath, knowing that in that breath is the infinite, is oneness, is wholeness, is the expansive and inclusive nature of God, of the divine, of this perfect presence that wants only for our good. I know it is here now. It is here now, expressing as and through each and every one of us, living our lives, singing our sacred why. I know we are one with it, and that is so beautiful to behold. And so knowing this, I bless us on our journey of discovery, knowing that we are not lost, that we are found, that we are in our exploration of who and what we are. And that as we are exploring, as we are opening our hearts to diving deep into the depths of our soul and the divine truth that resides there, I know that good is at hand. I know that love expresses as and through us in all that we do. I know that this illusion of separation that we may have been experiencing, I know it has no power over us, because the truth at the core of our divine question, our divine why, is that we are one. We are whole. We are perfect. We are the life of the divine living itself. And how beautiful it is to behold that. And so I know that that truth is at hand right here, right now. And I just allow myself to bask in the gratitude for this beautiful, amazing community that has so joyfully welcomed me, and that so joyfully welcomes each and every person who walks through our doors, who joins us on our live stream. I am so grateful for that, and I am especially grateful for the fulfillment of this prayer. I just let it be, knowing that the laws of the universe are already acting upon it, making it so. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. So now is the time in our service when we traditionally would pass the baskets. And, because of the pandemic concerns right now, we're not doing that. However, there are a number of ways that you can give. Our wonderful board president, Nancy Reynolds, told you about all of those, especially our new text to give, which is amazing. But because we want this to be a meaningful practice, because we know that this is a spiritual practice, I would like to invite you, if it feels comfortable, to go ahead and close your eyes and think back to a moment in your past week where you felt so much gratitude, and allow that gratitude to fill you up, to move through you, to open your heart. And now imagine that gratitude is infusing your gift, whatever it is, with that unconditional love, with that energy of just being so grateful, until it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, knowing that it has absolutely no limit. Allow it to fill up your being with love. And let the next breath that you take be deeper than the last. And when you feel ready, go ahead and open your eyes. And if it feels good, you can smile. Thank you. So now is the time in our service when we get to find out about all of the amazing things that are happening outside of Sunday in our community. So I'd like to invite our board president, Nancy Reynolds, back up, who I'm just so grateful has chosen to host for us again today. It's been, yes, I'll give her a round of applause for that. It's obviously with the pandemic, it's been a little bit challenging doing scheduling, so I'm just so grateful that you said yes to stepping in at the last minute here. So thank you. All right, thank you all.
Happy to. Yeah. I love the question why, and I also really like its first cousins, what and why not. So what is going on around here, and why not find something else to get involved in? So let's talk about those things. I want to let you know that our bookstore is open today. The bookstore now has plenty of the books that Dr. Edward is using in his daily meditations on Facebook Live. That's the book 365 Science of Mind. Please do note, if you're going to visit the bookstore, that the volunteers will be monitoring the number of people in there, just so it doesn't get so crowded. Let's see. You may know that Evan Dow Williamson, our facility manager, resigned from his position after 11 years of taking good care of our center. And we are in the process of searching for a new facility manager. And while that search is going on, William Abel and Wayne Stanfield have very generously and kindly stepped in to volunteer to take care of the center and keep it in good order and clean and beautiful and well maintained. They could use your help. So this is the why not. Why not volunteer? You can find out more information about what's needed at the information table in the social hall. And you can also email Linda Han. Her email address is available out there and also on the website. Our circles for spiritual connection are open for signups. Do you know about these circles? Let me tell you. Circles for Spiritual Connection are small groups that meet weekly on Zoom, and they get together to discuss the Sunday message. And the focus of the group is to go deeper into embodying our spiritual nature, and they are a great way to connect within the community. This is coming up soon. I want to let you know the next set of 6-week sessions begin on February 1st, and registration is open now through next Sunday, January 30th. To register, what you need to do is email Kim Hansen, and you can find her email address and all the details about the circles by going to our website, cslsr.org. And from the homepage, scroll down till you get that really interesting photo of the blue and yellow water drop. I know blue and yellow water drop, but it totally works. So find that, click on that, and you can get signed up for one of those circles. Our very own Reverend Russ is offering his Defense Mechanisms workshop. That's called Set Your Whole Self Free. That's next Sunday, January 30th at 3 p.m. Pacific time on Zoom. And here's what he says about this. This fun workshop was designed to help us better understand the ways our mind chooses to defend itself. He says that oftentimes this happens on autopilot and creates some, well, I love this word, funky results in our lives. Having a better understanding of these mechanisms then allows us to live more freely with more power to choose our highest good in our day-to-day lives. Registration for the registration for the workshop is available on the website. Start on the homepage again. Scroll down till you find the really cool Lego hiker. Click on that, and all the information is there. The space is limited, though. So, and the class is only a week away, so you'll want to sign up right away. And the cost is $25. Our seniors group, the third act, gives the amazing seniors in our community an opportunity to go deeper in their spiritual journey. Reverend Joyce Kinzel facilitates this group, and they meet on the fourth Monday of the month, which that would be tomorrow. The Zoom link is where? On the website. From the homepage, this time look for the button called See All Events. Scroll down till you find the listing for the third act. Here's a fun fact. Our teaching, The Science of Mind, was a teaching long before it became a spiritual movement like it is today with centers all around the world. It makes sense then that we have such a strong focus on education. For me, personally, taking classes has been a great way. It's a great way to test out when I'm learning with real people, real interactions, rather than just in the safety of my own mind. Does anybody else do that? Yeah, but when I take it out into a class, it actually becomes real and useful. So I want to make sure you know that education registrations for the winter term are still open for classes beginning in February. Here are two of the coming soon classes. They're being offered for the very first time. Reverend Russ's class, again, you're busy. He does a lot of stuff, good stuff. Reverend Russ's class, Blind Spots, starts on February 8th, 6 p.m., and practitioner Betty Smith's class, Journey of the Soul, starts on February 10th, 6:30 p.m. You can get more information about these wonderful classes on the website, and I'd take a moment to look at the descriptions. They're both very impressive, and the descriptions and the registration are available under the Events and Classes tab on the website. Now, I've just told you 100 things to find on the website. If you've never been on our website, I'd like to invite you to stop by the information table where there's a computer set up with the website, and we can show you where to find all these good things so you can get ready to do that at home at your own convenience. Now, the last thing I want to mention today is very near and dear to my own heart, and that's the monthly Board of Trustees meeting coming up Thursday, the 27th, starting at 5:30 p.m. The board meeting is conducted as a Zoom webinar where you see the panel of trustees, Dr. Edward and our COO, Linda Han, and then guests are invited to attend and watch the meeting, and you can submit questions through the chat function. Now, I've discovered that it's a little-known fact that everyone is welcome to attend the board meeting. Now, maybe you're wondering why on earth I would attend a board meeting if I'm not a trustee. Well, it's a great way to get a glimpse into the inner workings of our center and to see how we keep an eye on the spiritual and financial health of the center. It's also a great opportunity to see how the leadership works. weaving together spiritual and business practices. And if you've ever felt even the slightest tug to serve as a trustee, it's a good idea to check out the meetings. One of my favorite duties as president of the board is to chair those monthly meetings. And so I would like to personally invite you to join us on Thursday. The link for the Zoom is, of course, on the website under the See All Events. Okay, let's see. That is it. Yeah, I know, sigh of relief, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm back to the question of that's the what, and so the why not. Let's see. I hope to see you at some of these things. And so I'll just thank you for being here. We have one more thing to show you. It's a message from this month's nonprofit partner that we support through our tithing. And then the musicians and Reverend Russ will wrap us up. All right, thank you for being with us. Have a beautiful week.
Hello, my name is Jeff Creek, and I'm a founder and director at the Carbon Cycle Institute. I want to begin by thanking the Center for Spiritual Living for designating the Carbon Cycle Institute as a 2022 nonprofit partner. I also want to acknowledge my friend and colleague, Will Bax, who passed away this November, long before his time, and who recommended CCI to CSL as a potential nonprofit partner. Conservation districts exist in almost every county in the country. They were established in the wake of the ecological catastrophe of the Dust Bowl as local partners to the newly formed National Soil Conservation Service. We now, of course, face an analogous ecological crisis, but not regionally, rather globally. CCI's goal is to enlist and greatly expand the existing local and national framework of the Soil Conservation Service, today known as the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS, and the conservation districts as the most direct route to engaging agricultural producers and thus agricultural land as a climate change solution at scale. Locally, we're working with county planners to bring agriculture into the climate action planning process. This work has resulted in the recognition within several Bay Area county climate action plans of the pivotal role of agriculture as a greenhouse gas drawdown strategy, without which counties and the state will not and cannot meet their greenhouse gas reduction goals. Having tugged at the thread of carbon that runs through all living systems on the planet, we find ourselves connected to all aspects of the human project. Our focus, therefore, remains on the nexus among the atmosphere, the soil, and the well-being of the planet and its human and non-human inhabitants. Our friend Will Bax understood this nexus well and devoted his working life to it. We at CCI are grateful to Will for his work and for his recommendation of CCI to the Center for Spiritual Living, and we are grateful for your support. Thank you.
All right, so before we close this thing out, if you've been having a hard time, if maybe you cried yourself to sleep last night, I invite you to take advantage of our after-service prayer over Zoom, which you can find out more about that if you're here in person at the information table, or if you're online, you can find the link to that on our website. But it's a really wonderful way to have one of our amazing practitioners know the truth for you, and to hold a space of healing for you to move through whatever might be going on. So please take advantage of that. All right, so let's close this out, shall we? Know with me that you are never alone. That Spirit is right where you are, that you have only to look within to know at any moment that you are guided, sustained, and empowered by a presence that expresses itself as you in this world. In deepest gratitude, let us live our lives accordingly, so that in everything we do, say, and think, we are one. And so it is. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon.
While the Spirit of love now leads me, the Spirit of truth sets me free. The Spirit of peace now fills me. I'm where I'm meant to be. Oh, the Spirit of joy now heals me. The Spirit of strength makes me strong. The Spirit of light reveals through me I'm here where I belong. right here where I belong. Ah, the Spirit of love now leads me. The Spirit of truth sets me free. The Spirit of peace now fills me. I'm where I'm meant to be. Ah, the Spirit of joy now heals me. The Spirit of strength makes me strong. The Spirit of light reveals through